Does everybody know the story? Has everybody heard the story? We've all heard the story before. The very well-known musician or artist falls sick, can't pay his medical bills, or unfortunately has died. And surprisingly to all of us, the family is asking for fans and people and friends to donate to the financial recovery of this individual, and we're all shocked, whether it's the medical costs, the burial costs, or maybe they need some money for their family. And we're all going, how does this happen? This is blah, blah, blah. He's famous. He did this, they did that. How does this person not have any money? And this happens continually. I actually have a peer of mine with New Power Generation, singer Rosie Gaines, who was actually in that band before my time. She was with Diamonds and Pearls, and right now she's going through a very serious medical issue and health issue where she needs some help, she needs some rehabilitation. It's really a sad thing. So the question is, how does this happen? How does this continually happen? Basically, lack of planning and preparation. I think that it's difficult in an industry that we have, and it's hard to do planning when you have a salary maybe at times that is one thing one year, down the next, up the next, or down. It's never the same. So it's a little bit more difficult for us to be able to look into our financial future when we don't have financial regularity all of the time. I think musicians rarely have retirement accounts set up by their employers like 9-to-5 workers do with healthcare and so on and so forth. Why? Basically because we are freelance. We are self-employed for the most part. So a lot of the times we have to look at how we can cover ourselves and make life a little bit easier, unless you are maybe teaching at a university, have tenure, unless you're on a regular television show, or maybe if you have a seat in an orchestra. Other than that, it can be quite difficult to figure out how to be regular with money. This stuff can be avoided, though, and how can it be avoided? By using the same principles that weren't used: planning, preparation, and discipline. And all of these three qualities are qualities that we as musicians use every day with what we're doing. Especially you guys, you have these qualities. You've chosen what you're going to do. You're disciplined. You're serious in your studies, in the whole 9 yards. So there's no reason that once you know how to do these things and you know what might possibly come in the future, that you can prepare yourself for this stuff and add it as one of your tools in your arsenal. Wisdom is doing today what will benefit you tomorrow, correct? It is true. And wouldn't it be nice to have a lot less time worrying about money and more time to be creative? That's what we're really here to do. You guys have already made a fantastic, the best investment that you can make in your future. And that is the best investment you can make. The next best one that you can do is investing in your financial future. Why should you do it? Empowering yourself. Empowering yourself, why should you do it? Self-explanatory. Sorry. Fingers. To secure your financial future, of course. Looking past today, which is really hard, but you got to do it to invest in the future. The music business is very challenging financially, feast and famine sometimes, and you need a plan. And it does take money to make money. And we should not depend solely on Social Security or a pension fund, probably from, the AFFM. Those things are not supposed to be sole sources of income. They're supposed to be supplementary. So we kind of want to create some other things before it's too late to be able to do that. But you guys have major advantages over most people twice or even half of your age, which is the great thing. You have time, you have your age, and you have compounding interest. So I want to give you some examples of what you can do here. Could we say that the average age of the room of the students here is maybe, 20? Would you say that's a safe bet?
20, 22, something like that.
Now, how many of you guys have retirement funds already? Raise your hand. Excellent, excellent. And what kind of retirement fund do you have?
It was from the school employment that I used to work
Excellent. So you had a regular job okay. And what about you?
Same thing.
Same thing? So like a 401k or something along those lines. What about you?
Yeah, I had a 401k.
Okay, so you had a regular job. Okay. So let's set the parameters, which is great. Some retirement tools that we can use, because again, like I said, they don't set stuff up for us. I know I have so many of my peers, younger and older than myself, who've done amazing things, who have big names, who don't have any retirement accounts, they don't have anything, and I want to, say to them sometimes, what do you think that you're going to do? Some of us hit it big, which is great. Some of us don't. Some of us had inheritance funds. Some of us have rich families, and some of us don't. So you got to be prepared. One of the tools, here's a couple of tools that you can use. The traditional IRA, which if you guys don't know what an IRA is, or whoever doesn't, it's an individual a retirement account at a financial institution that allows an individual to save pre-tax income, which means that you're not paying income tax on the money that you're putting in. You pay income tax at the time that you take the distribution out. So, and contributing up to specific limits, the funds can grow tax-deferred, which is great. So if we took an example at 60 years old, if you guys had contributed for 40 years into your own thing, for a minimal investment in your future, let's say $100 a month, $1,200 a year, in a traditional IRA, at a modest 8%, which is very doable, and we're talking about the stock market, obviously, because you can't make money today anywhere else for those amounts. At a modest 8%, which is not great, but it's not bad, you probably have a little nest egg of about $350,000 when you were 60, which would be great. At a more adventurous 12%, which is doable, trust me, you can have over $1 million nest egg sitting there when you're 60, which will help with other things. Of course, this is taxable income. Now, what really gets interesting for us and what is a really amazing tool for you guys at your age, the world has this wonderful thing called a Roth IRA. And the difference between a Roth IRA and a traditional IRA is basically that you pay the taxes before you put the money in, so that at the time when you take the distribution, it's tax-free. And this is an amazing, amazing tool for you guys. Using the same examples, and you can do with a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA, for your guys' ages, approximately $5,500 is the max per year that you could put in. Just with an example of this, if you made an investment into yourself with a Roth IRA of $5,500 a year, when you were 60, to do the comparison, at a modest 8%, again, you'd have $1.5 million tax-free. And at a superstar money manager point of 12%, you'd have almost $5 million. So it's very doable. Again, it's tax-free, which is the major thing. How do you qualify for these Roth IRAs as individuals? This is not going to be something that you're, like you guys were talking about. You have 401ks or things set up with a business. These are things that you can do for yourself, which you will probably have to do as a musician. And how do you qualify? You just have to work, basically. You have to file a tax return. And you have to earn less than $114,000 a year, a gross adjusted income, to be able to qualify as an individual. And the great thing about it, you actually don't have to withdraw from this at all. And you can keep contributing to it forever as long as you work, unlike the other ones. And your withdrawal time is 59 and a half to be able to withdraw without the penalties. If you guys have a moment later, look up Roth IRAs for all the other benefits that they have. You can take your principal out at any time without penalties, the original money that you put in without touching the gains. It's a really, really great tool. They also have features that you can do for first-time home buyers without penalties. It's very, very interesting. So definitely look up a Roth IRA. It's a way to some fabulous riches that if probably a lot of us knew about it when we were your age, we might be in a different situation, but it's definitely open to you, and especially as a musician. Some say the industry standard is that you should invest 15% into your retirement. It's a little bit difficult for us, again, talking about regularity, because we don't have regularity in our salaries. You might make $50,000 one year, you might make $160 the next year. You might make $20 the next year. You might make $70. So it's a little bit different and difficult to be able to say what you got to do. But you got to find your number. Now, how can you do this? By investing in your retirement fund with stocks and mutual funds. You can use a low-cost broker, or you can find a great investment advisor to try to keep your costs down and learn along the way, which is always what you want to do. You want to be aware of what you're investing in and what you're doing. You can start by buying index funds, no-load mutual funds, or low-load mutual funds with great track records and histories of returns. And be extremely careful, you guys. I think this is one of the most important points with student debt and consumer debt. Because you want to have that discretionary money to be able to put into your future. You don't want to be using it to have to pay your bills all the time. A lot of student loans with high rates. I know it's difficult, but you got to find a way to do it, to make it work. You also have to find your number. Find the number that's good for you in retirement, that's going to work for you. It might be different, but everybody's different with what's comfortable and what's comfortable for a continual distribution. Some say 20 times your annual earnings, your income, is what you need to retire, but everybody's different. The other thing that goes into this that you guys need to think about is, how do you want to be paid? That all has to do with also the type of retirement funds that you're going to have. Are you going to be paid as an individual? Are you going to be paid as a corporation? Are you going to be paid as an S Corp, a C Corp, a DBA? These are all things that you guys will have to decide and know the differences in what's happening with the liabilities and the costs, because corporations do have some excessive costs for you to have to deal with. And I want to leave this with some other things that you guys should consider. Having, of course, in our business, which is crazing, having a 6-month emergency fund, cash, is a great thing to have, because we're always up and down. So it's something you should think about. Again, like I said before, be really careful about student loan. It's not dischargeable, as you guys probably know. Over $1 trillion of student debt in America. Oof. It's scary. You guys are definitely doing a lot. Maintain insurance if you can. Got to have it, especially medical. And if you have an instrument that's really dear to you that you feel that you can't do without, insure it. Maybe you don't have to insure everything that you have, but you can find some things that will give you some safeguards. And you can also consult your union or the AFM if they have any more information or any rates or some ways that they can help you with insurance or any of that kind of advice. And maintain good credit if you guys can. You are the future. Monitor your credit score and just try to keep up on all your stuff. And that's what I wanted to leave you with, some little seeds, because money does matter. Thanks, guys.